This is going to be Facebook. We're on Facebook Live. We're on YouTube Live. And then we also have Periscope with Twitter. So hope everybody's out there having a good time. It is May 20th, and I hope we are just having a fantastic time with all this strength that we're seeing in the market. Some news items that have come from that. The reason why some of this has been happening lately is because, well, we had mRNA, Moderna, come out, and they said, generally good things about their development as far as vaccines. So that's good news coming out for the market. Did anybody see that Jerome Powell was interviewed on 60 Minutes, I believe on Sunday? I got to see a few clips of that, and he said a few things, not to mention, kind of trying to coo the market a little bit, but he said we can digitally print money. So that means we don't even have a backlog of how much money we can print. It can just all get out there. You just hit some buttons and it goes right to where it needs to go. So the market, I guess, liked that because that means probably more money coming, okay? And then we have Jerome Powell also said that basically the Fed is willing to do whatever it takes to keep things moving, to, make more payments, to do more QE, to boost up the markets, any kind of situation like that. So we've just got that going. Beyond that, we did hit some technical levels. So I'm going to be diving into the charts, showing you exactly what I've been looking at. And for my subscribers, as of Friday, I said, hey, I think we're going to keep going longer at this point. Here are my metrics. This is what I'm typically looking at, and we should be good so far. Then over the weekend, we had the news with Jerome Powell and Moderna. So, wow, we got some crazy stuff kind of going on there. A lot to talk about today. One of the things I wanted to bring up, you guys can see this. This is profitpilot.com. This is the website that I have operating. And I wrote a little piece May 18th about what it was that I saw Friday and then over the weekend when I was doing my research. And the stuff I was writing about doesn't even care about Moderna or the Fed. This was saying, hey, I'm seeing a lot of stocks doing this, and a lot of them kind of give me a roadmap of what to expect about the overall market. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? The market, the 80% of the stocks follow the market, but the market is comprised of a lot of different stocks. So if these stocks are doing this, then the market is probably going to do that, and vice versa. It kind of seems like a symbiotic relationship. So come over here, read up that little thing that I wrote up here, and then I'll start showing you a bunch of what I was seeing over the weekend to give me the direction of where we're going to go. Also with that, we've got a few more of the other things you guys can check out. We got, if you scroll down here, you can link to all my various social medias. We have them all at the top: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. And then as far as Facebook and YouTube, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. That way you get alerts. Hit the bell. Make sure you can actually get the alerts so that you know when I'm going to be popping on like this. I see I got some familiar names here: Gerald, Eric. Good to see you all. Hope you all are doing well. All right, so let's kind of get into some of the charts here to show you what it was that I was seeing across the board that told me as of Friday that we really need to keep going longer, and then especially over the weekend, I was like, yeah, this is probably going to sustain. So number one, I was looking back here. We got a double top, and I said, this is really kind of looking shaky. I can see here the 15-minute MOX indicator wasn't looking really good compared to what price was doing, and then we started to roll over. Funny enough, and this is the crazy market we're in, this market rollover early last week, was because Jerome Powell on another interview said, hey, I think this is going to be a longer, harder recovery than we thought, and this could be a challenge. Go figure. So his comments earlier in the week tanked the market, and then his comments over the weekend spiked the market. Welcome to the show. So that kind of did that. And what it did is it essentially fixed a lot of the issues that I was seeing. And that's why I said I was expecting this rotation this fall because things were getting a little overbought. And then when they did come down, I said, look, we're probably going to bounce off the hourly 50. And the reason why, or hourly 200. And the reason I said that is because, I talk about tree branches. It's a fairly strong moving average, and it's still in an uptrend. And I said price is likely going to hit that and at least have to deal with it before continuing down if it's going to continue down. And then really what I've been doing is I've been following the 15-minute time frame. That's been my biggest trading vehicle right now. And you can see that as of here, price has been following the 15-minute 50 going into Friday, closing Friday. And I said, well, hey, until this thing changes directions and rolls over, we got to follow that. And then we add to that the strength of the hourly 200. As kind of a cherry on top, price has also been bouncing off of the daily 50 right there. So now let me show you on the IWM, because the IWM has actually been, I think, a representation of more stocks out there. We know the Qs have basically been all tech, it looks like Apple mainly, and maybe something like Chipotle, and all these really big strong stocks have looked a lot like the Qs. They've just been going. The S&P kind of in the middle ground, and then we got the IWM that has been the weakest. And SPY and IWM have kind of been closely together. But what I've been noticing, and this is interesting, and we'll see how long this can hold up and work. But what I've been noticing is that for all these beat up stocks, like all the ones that aren't really taking off too much, or maybe they're just starting to, what I've been seeing is that they won't go down. First off, they won't go down. If anybody's been noticing that, like these things just aren't going down. Like even bookings, we were looking for short, didn't go down. Now they may not be going anywhere, but they're not going down, and I think that's something that we really need to pay attention to, and I think that might be the influence of the Fed, and kind of like, well, the news isn't terrible yet, and so we're just trying not to short. We're trying not to go down on things like that. And so what I've been seeing, let's let my computer catch up, there we go, is that they've at least gone sideways long enough that price has now not only gotten past the daily 50, that they have, as of last week, tested the daily 50. That's progress. The other thing I see is that the 8 is over the 21, so that the fast moving average is over the slow, so it's an uptrend. And then kind of the same thing I said about the SPY, they've at least come into, dealt with, bounced off of their hourly 200. Now, not all of them are clean. A lot of them are very confusing and choppy, and they turn around and then they go down, they do double bottom, and they explode out of nowhere. Trust me, they're not an easy market. But generally, this is what's been happening. I'll go through a couple more stocks about that so you guys can all see. All right, so let's see if I get the right one. Yep. So just one more time to remind you guys, hit the subscribe, hit the like button. That way you guys get the bell. You can make sure that you know when I'm going to be doing these kind of things. Then if you go over here to simplertrading.com/navigate today's market, the link's up there. We'll be posting that also. This is where you can get a free ebook about how to be dealing with a market in this situation. And then I got all the social medias up here, but I did want to talk about the roadmaps article that I just wrote. I'm going to be writing another something today about the Fed, so look for that one coming up. All right, so then we kind of get into the thing, as I said, Qs. Qs have kind of been doing just fine. Let's look at TLT, see if there's something going on with that one. All right. So I had a lot of people be bringing TLT up to me last week, and I saw it, and I walked through with our options members. And what I was looking at was there seems to be a setup, but it's setting up on the 15-minute time frame. And when I talk about this, there can be different setups on different time frames. Like we see a daily setup, okay, that's going to take off, and I'm going to be using daily parameters to trade this thing. Well, then there might be something else where, okay, sets up on the hourly chart. Well, I like that because that's kind of my bread and butter. Otherwise, if I see something on the 15-minute, I need to know that I'm trading this based on 15-minute cues, signals, strength, because it's only going to last that long on a 15-minute time frame. And here what we could see was we got a double bottom, then we got the positive Moxie divergence showing us, hey, it kind of wants to push up like that, and then we got price over the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator just looked amazing, looked like one line, solid green, going up, everything looked good, and it took off, and it worked out well. But it was only a 15-minute time frame. Notice the trade was only when price crossed the 15-minute 50 to when it broke the 15-minute 50. Now I could see that this was being an issue on the hourly chart because people are saying, well, hey, is it time to get in this thing? How's it going? I said, nope, you got to hang on a little bit. It did well over here, but don't let that fool you because it's not doing what I want it to do on the hourly chart. Because, and here's what I talk about a lot, price going up against a downtrending moving average. You don't want to trade that. I like to trade the second entry when price comes back and tests the moving average. We never got that on the hourly chart, did we? And then I could also see, look how far price was from the hourly 50, way too unsupported, big old gap. And the Moxie indicator was not over zero yet. So there's no entry for me based on my rules on the hourly time frame. And then we never actually got price to touch. It gapped straight down. It never actually touched the hourly 50. And now we're back down here to a triple bottom. Now we do have divergence. Okay, so I am starting to watch this because generally I am wondering if price is going to more or less bounce off of the daily 50, but I need to see that happen. So we're making progress. We now have tested for the third time this low on TLT. We now have positive divergence on the Moxie indicator. We're still below zero, but we are starting to make progress here. Now I'd like to see if price is actually going to move through here. I'm a little bit, I like to be a little bit slower because that may not hold, but it is something to keep an eye on. So let's look for that. And as I kind of go through this, you guys let me know what kind of, sounds like we got quite a few people in here, but let me know if there are any tickers that you want to be looking at. I'm not too gung-ho on anything because, well, this crazy market that we're in. So kind of let me know if you guys have seen anything really good, really exceptional that maybe I don't cover and that I should be aware of. Because I did have one subscriber bring KLAC to my attention. Looks fantastic. So I do really appreciate it when you guys all, look out and see something that I just don't see. I only got 2 eyeballs, right? All right, so this one looked really good. We got a nice strong 8/21 of the daily chart. Price was flagging and bounced right off of the hourly 50. We also had the 8/21, and then back here, price bounced right off of the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator was above zero. So you can see that's where we went in. It did a little bounce right here off of the the 15-minute 50, and there was a bit of a gap right here, and then it moved up. I have a 2-year-old niece here at the house, and she's trying to get into the room because she likes to listen to YouTube videos, cat videos with my dad, her grandpa. So that's what's going on right now. Okay, Chuy. Well, this is working from home, right? I'm assuming my sister will eventually notice that she's over here. All right, so Chuy. Chuy, again, looking for the right trade. Generally, I'm looking for price to bounce off of the daily 50, but it's not there yet. And what you guys can see also with TLT was, look here, price is over the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator is below zero. So there's no trade. And you can see I've kind of been looking at that. I wanted to put a paper trade on there and see if there was something. There hasn't been a trade. And what I was actually telling our options room yesterday was I'm looking for price to come back down, probably do a double bottom right here, and now we're starting to get some divergence as price comes back into the daily 50. But I don't see anything yet on the 15. We're still underneath the 15-minute 50, and the Moxie indicator is still below zero. So while I see development, it's not there yet. So I know what I'm looking for. So RTL, I'm not much of an options trader. So I'm really just a chartist. I like to look at the charts. I say where they're going to do, what they're going to do, and then I'm pretty much just a stock trader. So I put on equity, I just straight cash. I have a lot of I have a lot of people who do follow me based on options. You will have to come up with your own decision about that. And then we just kind of look for long plays based on that. I kind of give my parameters. Yeah, I know all the work from home. I'm sure we've seen a lot of those YouTube videos where there's somebody who takes a Zoom video with their laptop and they go into the bathroom with it, or working from home and like the kids just barge into the room. Yeah, so I'm sure we're getting a lot of that. We're actually seeing people on all the news networks. They're all working from home, so it's very interesting to see what everybody's rooms look like. I mean, I'm up here in Washington hanging out with my family, so I'm in a different room. I don't have my typical studio set up, but yeah, we're all kind of adapting, aren't we? All right, let's take a look at Roku. And yeah, Eric, I'm looking at DBD too. Yeah. Still kind of waiting. Still kind of waiting on this one. Probably eventually, I would imagine that we would find support on the daily chart and the daily 50, but you can see it's been having troubles trying to get past the daily 200. So that's kind of been the big issue right there. Mostly what I was looking at is we had price up, indicator down, and then I just don't like to trade earnings, and there wasn't a very clear entry after earnings. So I still got to wait. Price is still underneath the hourly 50, Moxie indicator still below zero. There might be some coming here. Maybe this is a trampoline move here on the 15-minute time frame, but as I said, if it's going to be something on the 15-minute time frame, you got to understand you're trading the 15-minute time frame and don't expect to hang on to it for a very long time. Yeah, so Peter, basically, Moxie is a momentum-based indicator. It's something that I've developed over the last few years, and we will post links, so simplertrading.com/stocks, but we'll post links. You got all sorts of videos and everything that you can find out more about it. So basically the way that we learn about it is I just keep showing you. I look a lot at divergences, both positive and negative, and then when the indicator gets over zero, which is positive energy, and below zero, which is negative energy. And so as I kind of just keep going through all this stuff, you'll kind of just pick up on how it works and what I do with it. So thanks for tuning in. Glad to see that we got all sorts of new people in here. All right, Amazon. Let's see what's going on with Amazon. So back here, and this was something I was able to cover last week. So I think last week we were here, I said, look, I think I've got an issue right here. Price should not be over the 50 if the indicator is below zero. So that's an out of phase condition. Like you want the indicator to be positive over zero, meaning positive energy, with price also over the moving average. When you don't have that, it's an out of phase condition. I call it an inverse trampoline move. That's more lingo, but basically price should not be positive when the indicator is negative. And so I was seeing that, and I was also seeing that there was a big gap between price and the hourly 50. So I said, we need to watch out for this. It's going to come back down. Sure enough, it did. Came right there, filled that gap. And then after that, I was like, okay, we don't necessarily want to short it because we got a lot of tree branches, as I call them. We got a lot of things of support that price needs to run into before it can keep going down. So as we got a little bit closer here, keep letting this, there you go. I am really taxing my laptop when I do all this kind of stuff. So it finally came down, it ran into the hourly 50, ran into the 15-minute 200. And then what we could see a couple days later, look at here, price bounced right off of the 15-minute 50 as the 15-minute Moxie indicator was moving up, telling us that momentum was basically transitioning to the upside. It wasn't falling apart and failing and wanting to trend down. It was actually looking constructive. So as soon as price got over the 15-minute 50 and got over the hourly 50 with the 8 over the 21, everything looked positive again. And a little subtle thing also, that we then got positive divergence right there on the hourly chart for the Moxie indicator. Now, we are still in some issues because we're basically doing that all over again. Notice, we're starting to get a gap between price and the hourly 50, just like we got a gap between price and the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator is still below zero. It's closer, but it's still below zero. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get another little, pullback situation. I wouldn't necessarily short it, but don't be surprised if we get another drop. This has kind of been how the market moves. We get something that moves up, and then it falls down. And then it kind of moves up, and it falls down. This is just how we're dealing, and this is what I'm almost not even looking at the daily chart most of the time. I'm looking at the 15-minute, sometimes I go down to the 5, mostly the 15, and then a little bit more on the hourly. Those two charts right now, since we've been having such quick moves, have been giving me the best information as to how to even trade this kind of stuff. So as I say, usually I'm just following the 15-minute 50. As long as price is over the 15-minute 50, you're fine. But you can see here that when it falls off, it goes back down, then it gets back over, and then as long as it can stay over it, you're okay. Challenging market, trust me. I've been having to deal with this thing for weeks. All right, DBD. So this one I've been trading in the room, as Eric brings up, and you'll see here, I went long right here as price did a trampoline move. It went through the hourly 50. The Moxie indicator was still above zero, so still positive momentum despite price dipping. So I said, okay, that looks good. I want to get the outside, the recovery of that. I went long when price was over the 15-minute 50. Everything was looking pretty good. And then really, it decided to have the bottom fall out. You can see that maybe it was because there was a gap between price and the hourly 50. But as soon as this thing cut through the 15-minute 50, that was it. That was the end of the move. And there's nothing else you can do about this. There's no indication. Momentum just changed quickly. Price just does what it wants to do. And so this is why I set my stop. I got out break even. It was a scratch trade. At least it wasn't negative, but that's the kind of thing that we're having to deal with this. So it did its thing. It did end up finding support at the hourly 200. This is still technically a trampoline move on the hourly chart. And then where was the entry? Look at price. Right there, it got over and then bounced and found support at the 15-minute 50. And since then, it's generally been following the 15-minute 50. So all I can do is show you how these things work, show you that this is a very nutty market. It's making us kind of pull our hair out for a lot of different things. But this is kind of the best guide that I've been able to find to do all this kind of stuff. All right, so then just kind of some housekeeping here. We want to make sure that for those who are tuning in new, appreciate it. Come over to profitpilot.com. I did have an article over here explaining that from Friday into the weekend, I was seeing a lot of these similar things over a lot of different stocks, and that the market was doing the same thing. I was like, oh, I think that what I'm seeing here on all these different stocks is going to help provide a roadmap for what the market is going to do. And that worked out very well for me, worked out well for our subscribers. As of Friday, we started going long on a few positions, and then we had the Jerome Powell news come out, and then we had the Moderna news come out for vaccines, and that really just goosed the market on Monday. So we've had a pretty good time. Come over here, let me know how it's going, and then down at the bottom you can find all of my social media links if you want to tune into that. So thanks again. And then let's see, GLD. Yeah, we're looking to hedge against inflation now that who knows how many trillions of dollars have been digitally printed, right? So GLD is looking pretty good. Just because I do trade stock, I like to look at the leverage ETF. So I think it was UGLD. I took that. It was a 3X gold ETF. So far, so good. And then let me see. There were a couple others that I wanted to talk about here. SBUX. So, Starbucks. Yeah, Sachin, I do. So for those who are in my Moxie Mastery, which is my alert service, yes, I'm in there. I'm chatting with people. But yeah, and I do have a spreadsheet that says all the current trades that I have and what we've done and taken and how I'm managing them. And then yeah, I communicate to you guys. I'm with you in the trades. I take every trade that I give out there, and I say when I enter and I say when I exit. And I give parameters, at least for stops and kind of what I'm looking for. So Starbucks, this was one of the other things that I was noticing about a lot of the other tickers out there. Notice that Starbucks hasn't necessarily been going anywhere, but it has finally gotten over the daily 50. And not only that, it has touched the daily 50 twice. And the 8 was over the 21 the whole time. Looking really good on the daily chart. Now here, we have to kind of look back and forth about, okay, what's going on with these moving averages? Is it following in? On the hourly chart, it makes no sense. There's no moving average that price is consistently following. It's really down on the 15-minute time frame. You see how price breaks the 15-minute 50 and then breaks it there? There was a trade. Then you get it to touch, and then it cuts it. There was a trade. Then you get over it, and then it stays. That's the trade. As I said, most of what's happening is everything on the 15-minute time frame. So if you guys are pulling your hair out also, try stepping down to the 15-minute time frame and see if you can find some trades like that. Beyond that, some of the setups I saw, we had price down on the hourly chart. We had positive divergence on the Moxie indicator. This was telling me that, in fact, this thing did want to go up, along with the support that I was seeing on the daily chart, and then generally that the hourly 200 was trending up. So we went in that, it percolated for a couple days, and now it's moving up. So things are looking pretty good on that. All right, then let's see. Another one that I was looking at, Neo. I think this one is going to end up being a good one. We got in, it didn't do exactly what I wanted to right away. So we had like a 2% stop, it hit it. Since then, it's starting to come back up, so it's actually back to where my original entry was. That's just how things go. But this is what I'm looking at. I'm looking at positive divergence on the daily Moxie indicator. It at least has been holding the daily 50 or the daily 200, and now it's trying to hold the daily 50. And the close thing that I see, you notice here that the 8 is over the 21. It's the blue line over the orange. So it's at least looking like it wants to hold right there. The other thing I see on the hourly chart is we've got basically a double bottom. We have positive divergence, and we've got the Moxie price trigger right there. You guys see that green arrow? That's telling me that the Moxie indicator is now above 0. So all of this looks pretty good on the hourly chart. I like that setup. The daily chart, as far as the structure, looks pretty good. We have price now bouncing off of the hourly 50. We've got a squeeze going on, and then we did a little double bottom here on the 15-minute time frame. And this is, again, all I can keep doing is showing what's happening out there and say, hey, this is how we're having a trade. Notice, I went in 2 days ago, not yesterday, but the day before, because I was looking for price to stay over the 15-minute 50. So when it didn't, we cut it. That's why it hit our stop, fine. So the next day, you see how price still could not get over the 15-minute 50. It actually got rejected by the 15-minute 50. So no trade. But now that there's been a double bottom, and now look again, now price is over the 15-minute 50. I'm willing to go back into this trade. So, you try it one time, maybe it's not the right time. Maybe it's not ready. Maybe it wants to percolate a little bit more. That doesn't mean that you did something wrong. It means we are seeing something, but apparently that day wasn't the right day. So just because it doesn't work out the first time, try again. This is something that we have to get used to when it comes to being a stock market trader, that, hey, it's kind of up to the market. We have no control over this. And so we see something setting up. We have our parameters. We have our get out point in case it doesn't work, just like this one. It didn't work the first day. But 2 days later, sure looks like it wants to work. So I'm going to be probably putting this one out to my channel and say, hey, I think we should look back into this one. So this is NEO, N-E-O. Speaking of NEO, let's take a look at NIO. And then, guys, remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the alert, and make sure to like, comment. I always enjoy talking to you. Seems a little quiet in the room today. Maybe that's because everyone's like, what the heck's going on with the market? Trust me, I believe it. I feel you. I'm with you, okay? This isn't easy for us either. We try our best. Some of it's working out, and otherwise we just have to make sure we kind of capture our gains when we get them. Now, NEO, I like what's happening. The weekly and monthly charts look fairly interesting too. Like, look at this thing. Now, the only thing that concerns me is that they have earnings coming up. I don't really like to trade earnings because it's a huge gamble. But we have price here staying now above the monthly 10 SMA. That's progress on the monthly chart. That's really good progress. And then I look at this as a double bottom. And then you can see here we've got our positive divergence. And now look at this. We've got a nice tight flag here on the weekly time frame. Price is flagging right into an uptrending weekly 8 EMA, and we now have price over the weekly 50, and the weekly 30 is trending up too. Everything looks really good on these two time frames. Just keep in mind that they're bigger time frames. They're the monthly and the weekly. A lot of stuff can happen in between on them. And then daily chart looks fairly good, and once again, price is generally following the hourly 200, and we are over the daily 50. So seems to me, now we don't know what's going to happen on earnings. Is it going to explode on earnings? Is it going to do nothing on earnings? Is it going to drop down to support? We don't know. This is kind of why I like to trade after earnings. But it seems to me as though price is basically kind of holding here like this and then wanting to move up. So keep an eye on NEO. I like that for the weekly and monthly. Yeah, well, between all the different traders that we have out there, we should be getting a good idea of what's happening. So I know Ragi was yesterday on Facebook for the state of the market. I even need to go look at that and see what her take is and what's going on out there. I'm up here in Washington and it just started raining. Go figure. It's Washington. It's almost always raining. All right, so let's do one more thing that I was looking at. PYPL. This was an interesting case study. This thing looks like it is just to the moon, right? Does anybody want to buy this? Well, it would be a little nerve-wracking because it's so high, and you're like, oh my gosh, can this go any higher? Well, yeah, it can. And the way that I do this is when there's a gap, and this is why I don't trade earnings. Yes, it gapped on earnings. Okay, so we missed that. Not my style. I wait until after earnings. What do? I wait for price to flag sideways until it runs into the hourly 50. Look at that, right there. That was a perfect entry. It gapped up, and what did it do? It didn't move until it went sideways, ran right into the 50, and then started to lift. There's your trade. So that was a little something that I wanted to show, that when you guys run into something like this, that you can actually use that. Some good usable information for you. So, all right, everyone, that is about my time. So I just wanted to remind you, remember, come over here to profitpilot.com. Down at the bottom, we got a bunch of the social medias if you want to come up there. But the roadmaps article is one I just wrote earlier this week, kind of saying, hey, the market, 80% of the stocks follow the market. The market is comprised of a whole bunch of stocks, chicken before the egg, which one came first. And that kind of helped me tell me what the market was going to be doing this week, because even before the Jerome Powell news and even before the Moderna news, because I could see that a lot of stocks out there were doing this particular thing. And I said, I think that we're going to be seeing that with the market too. And so far, it's been working out. So thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Do appreciate it. Always good to talk to you. And we'll see you next week. Until then, protect your money. Have a good time out there. And really, let's see if you can just surf these waves probably on the 15-minute time frame. It's a day trader's heaven going on right now. So I've had to kind of revamp my trading style and kind of move down. I'll be having a class in the next couple of months about what I've needed to do to change my trading style during this kind of market. So look out for that. I'm going to be starting to kind of build something for that. So thanks again, everybody. We'll talk.